adventure, fishing adventure. Right now we're gonna test ceramic bearing against the stock bearing. Ceramic bearing, basically hawgtech bearing against boca bearing against the stock bearing for the Abu inshore too. We got the Abu bearing. We got the Abu Garcia bearing right there. We got the hawgtech bearing, and we got the boca bearing right here. What are we gonna do? We're gonna cast this thing with a regular bearing, and then we're gonna cast it with the hawgtech bearing, and then with the boca bearing. Let's see who's gonna win. Casting, the noise, and the retrieval, the smoothness. Well, you're gonna see it on this camera right here. It's gonna be all recorded while I'm casting it. So I'm not gonna cast it as far as I could or as much as I wanted to, because I got the camera right there. It's gonna be in my way, but we're gonna try to do it as much as possible, consistent with all three bearings. We're gonna cast it 5 to 10 times. We get the average. I will give you the highest result on the tape, hopefully. We're gonna do the spool test. With the spool test, I'm not really a big fan of it. I'll tell you why. I use all these bearings for a whole season now, and once it breaks in, like, you know, once you use it for a while, it tends to act like a regular bearing. It's a lot smoother retrieving it and casting it, and the casting distance doesn't change at all, but this thing tends to slow down a bit. Maybe it does change the casting distance, but not that, like, you know, you can actually, oh wow, it's a lot shorter now, like, you know, but it's, the smoothness is there. Let's go watch the spool test right now. Boca bearing, we're gonna put it on the spool, and I'm just gonna show you guys. Okay, we gotta take out the hawgtech bearing first. Okay. That's it right there. The hawgtech bearings, just it. Okay. As you can see, you can hear the noise already. It's loud. So, okay. Stock bearing for Abu Garcia, Aura inshore 2, and I hope you can see it. It's pretty quiet. Okay. Boca bearing installed in here. As you can see, it's right there. I hope you can see it. Alright. Hawgtech bearing in here. I hope you can hear it. It's pretty loud now. And that's how it is. Now we're gonna test it on the small camera now. Alright, noise test for the regular stock bearing for Abu Garcia. It's pretty quiet. Okay. Alright, boca bearing on a noise test. I'll do one more time. Alright. Alright, hawgtech bearing, noise test. Okay, now we're gonna do it this way. Stock bearing test. Let's go do it right now. 4.75. 5.36. 4.98. Boca bearing, free spool test. 0. 9 seconds. $9.2 seconds. $8.5 seconds. Alright, this is the hawgtech bearing. We're gonna test the free spool. Let's go start now. Right up. Okay. Let's start now. Eight seconds. $7.61. 7.70. Alright, on the free spool it looks like the boca bearing won the finger test, like when I do the finger. But if I spool it and click this, the hawgtech bearing is actually a little bit longer. You know, it's maybe it's the weight, or you know, but you can feel it's like it's a lot smoother with the boca bearing, a lot less noise. It's a lot noisier. The hawgtech bearing is. Both of them are smooth when you're reeling it and retrieving it, but the hawgtech bearing got a lot more noise on it. That being said, let's go watch the casting test. Maybe we'll see something different. Quarter ounce regular bearing. Quarter ounce boca bearing. $38. Okay, quarter ounce hawgtech bearing.
feet and 8 inches.
42 feet. Alright, why did we use a 1/4 ounce weight? Yes, because I got this heavy duty. Why am I using a 65-pound line? The reason being, if I'm on a kayak and I have to walk half a mile just to go to our destination, there's this one lake that we go. You have to walk, and you're gonna be the only one there. I don't want to bring multiple rods because we walked in the woods for almost like half an hour to get to the location, and I always bring one rod with me, and that's with the this year it's gonna be the swim bait rod, which is this one. And if they're not biting on a big swim bait, I want to put something like small, like maybe a 1/4 ounce or half an ounce or 3/4 ounce. Because this one I usually use for 1 ounce to 3 ounces. This goes up to 5 ounces, but that's the way I use it. So I want to see if I change it to ceramic bearing, how is it going to react on a 1/4 ounce? I know how it's reacting on the hawgtech bearing and the boca bearing because I've used it on both on a 1 ounce lure at least. So that being said, the hawgtech bearing won by a couple of feet, but there's like 10, maybe 10 foot, I think 10 to 12 foot from hawgtech to regular bearing. Probably like 5-6 foot from hawgtech to boca bearing, and same thing, 5 to 6 foot from regular bearing to boca bearing. But the key point is, we're gonna wrap up this video. The key point is why change to ceramic bearing? You have the bearing on your thing. Okay, for me, I change it because the gears, it helps the gears out. That's why I changed this, and this. This is for the free spooling. So when you turn this, the gear is not like it's turning this spool almost freely because it spins almost freely. It's helping the gear to rotate those spool. It's a lot easier for the gear, and it means it's a lot easier for your hand to retrieve whatever you're retrieving. You're retrieving 5 ounce or 10 pounds, it's gonna be a lot smoother. That being said, that's why I use hawgtech and boca bearing. It's up for you. It's for you guys to decide which one you want to use. I prefer both of them. Some of my reel, I use hawgtech bearing. I think it's 1/3 of the price of the boca bearing, I believe. No, it's half. It's half the size of the boca bearing. I mean, half the price of the boca bearing. But the only disadvantage to this, once you take that metal sleeve off, you cannot put that back in. That's it. And I like to use this bearing dry. I used boca bearing, hawgtech bearing for a whole season last year, and with the pre-spooling, it's not as great as like that anymore. But what I can tell you, it's still smooth. I mean, it's still smooth casting it and retrieving it. Maybe because sometimes I put WD-40 spray in it, WD-40 before I go fishing, so that it repels the water out of the reel. And after, like, before I store it, I sprayed it with WD-40 after I clean it, so that it repels moisture off the reel. Maybe that's why. Maybe it seeped into the bearing. Who knows? But it's still running great. It's casting great on all of my reels, and you can actually feel extreme difference between the regular bearing and the hawgtech bearing and the boca bearing. So ceramic bearing, it's up to you to decide. I tell you the differences. Stay tuned. If you like the video, like it, share it, comment. If you got any question, don't just comment it on our channel, and we'll try to get back to you. If you got a request it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.